Hi guys, my name is Shane Cuthbert. Welcome to lesson 19 of the Change Your Life course. I'm really glad you're here. Keep rewarding yourself for every step, okay? Every video, every homework question, every single step along the way to finishing this course. And then obviously finishing this course is just another step on your way, on your journey to becoming the person that you want to become, okay? So I'm going to congratulate you for being here, okay? Well done, okay? You've done really great. We're past halfway. We're really jumping into that journey of change, okay? And we're really learning a lot, and I hope you're getting a lot out of these lessons. This lesson is a special one. It's a very important one, okay? It's called black and white thinking. Something that's really special and amazing about humans, and the thing that separates us from mammals and other different species and other different animals, is that exterior part of the mind that allows us to compartmentalize things, okay? So the ability to, take sort of a big thing and break it up a little bit, okay? So to take a puzzle and turn it into pieces. This ability allows us to really better understand the world, but also really understand ourselves and know that the world isn't just black and white, okay? It's made up of colors, and things aren't always good or bad. There's lots of in between. And sometimes when it comes to whether something's good or bad or not is really just a matter of perception. The problem is when that inner part of the brain, okay, that more animalistic part of the brain, when that takes over, we tend to really get stuck in ways of black and white thinking. Have you ever known somebody that can be some way or act some way around you when it's one-on-one, you're having a conversation, yet completely acts, almost the total opposite, or at least completely differently when you're in a group of people? That's because when we're in a group, that more primitive, group herd mentality, that instinct, that black and white instinct really keeps us, I guess, staying as part of the herd and part of the pack. We end up going along with what everybody else is going along with as a group, rather than having that sense of individuality. And when you're talking one-on-one with someone, they might have opinion about something that when they're in a group, if everyone's opinion is the same, like something different, that person then sort of changes their opinion or their views based on who they are with in the group and what the group is thinking as a whole. The media, politicians, and marketers, they really, basically use black and white thinking a lot, okay? They use it to their advantage. They know that by stimulating that inner part of the brain, they can get us to have stronger feelings about whatever it is they're talking about, what they're trying to sell, or what's going on. They know that they can manipulate us to think a certain way. The media is the absolute worst example of this. The media is really good at doing this, okay? The media does this all the time. They would like you to believe something's really good or something's really bad. Now, either someone is a complete innocent victim or they're the hero. It's a breakthrough miracle cure that's going to, change the world, or it's the enemy, okay? It's pure evil. It's a threat, it's doomsday, it's the end of the world, okay? They really use black and white thinking a lot because they know that when you're watching and engaging, they're getting you to think and feel the way that they want you to think or feel. They do that because they know that that gives us a sense of connectedness. When we can really associate with that thing, okay, you've got transference happening again, okay? So when you can really connect with that thing that they're saying, you're going to believe their story and I guess what they're pitching to you, okay? Which is really just a perception. They exploit our sense of connectedness so that we know that we are together, we are connected, and we are the good guys, and they are the bad guys. Anybody that thinks differently about this thing is out there, they're not a part of our tribe, and we're the good guys. Buy our advertising, make us more money, make us more profits. It all works in their favor. Now, human society has advanced a lot through the ages, okay? Through history, we have advanced over the last couple of 100 years. But it hasn't advanced due to, celebrities and Hollywood. It has advanced because academics have learnt to separate human bias when they're studying things, okay? So they're really a lot more accurate. Academics don't just say this is a thing now because everybody else in Hollywood thinks it's really good and we've made a movie about it. They actually research it and say, I don't care what anybody thinks. Okay, we're not going to do any black and white thinking. We're going to research the world. We're going to travel around it in a ship. We're going to work out that it's actually round. We're going to send up a satellite or a mission to Mars, and they're going to look back at the world and see that it's a sphere. They take the human, the black and white thinking element out of it. They take away the human bias. And that's why humanity has changed so much and why we keep moving forward as a species. They use a lot of relative objectivity and a lot of rational thinking. And for the majority of people, that stuff is really just boring. Rational thinking and objectivity, that doesn't make us, feel really good or bad. That doesn't give us a sense of connectedness. That doesn't trigger our basic human mind to think that we're a part of something, or it really doesn't influence any of our thoughts or feelings. Just because we as humans have the ability to use rational thinking doesn't mean that we actually exercise that ability. The question is, how is this, relevant to personal growth or personal change, okay, to identity change? Here's the answer. Fundamentally, at the heart of every single person's problems, you will find a recurring pattern. If you get 100 people with 100 different problems, the common thing you are going to find amongst all of these people is something called black or white thinking. Basically, this is what it looks like. If we stay over here in the light space, everything is perfect. Everything's wonderful. There's no problems. Let's not talk about that confrontational or difficult stuff. Let's look at our selfies, let's get some likes. Everything's wonderful over here in the light. But once we start to look over here in the darkness, what happens is our mind just gets, it's called overwhelm. Okay, we just get overwhelmed with all of these fears and these anxieties and these thoughts. It doesn't feel good looking over there in that dark space. We're just getting this sudden flood of information. And the reality is often just too much for us to deal with. So you get yourself into this situation where everything is fine and lovely and beautiful and wonderful, or it's absolutely the end of the world. It's terrible. You develop and we practice and we condition ourselves to have this black and white thinking. It's either really good or it's really bad. We blow our problems up into these huge things that are just totally beyond our control, okay? We make our problems seem like they are bigger than what they are. And it's like climbing a mountain. The mountain is just so big, it's too big. That's what we do with our problems when we use black and white thinking. In order to deal with the overwhelm of that, the overwhelming, the negative feelings of that problem, we just choose to stay in the light space. So, let's look over here, let's be distracted. Let's do drugs, let's gamble, let's drink alcohol. Everything's really nice over here. Fundamentally, that black or white thinking is at the heart of every single problem. So that black and white thinking is fundamentally also what keeps us stuck. Let's take a look at how, this sort of situation manifests when it comes to changing. Have you ever been in a situation where, you're looking at a calendar and you think, okay, on this day, this particular day is the day I'm going to make the change. I'm going to start the diet. I'm going to join the gym. That's the day I'm going to have my last cigarette. On that day, that's when I'm going to get started. So then you get started and now you're on your way. Now you're feeling really good. You're on the program. You're on the wagon. You're on whatever it is that you're on, but then you slip up. You fall off the wagon. Here's the thing that I want you to keep in the back of your mind. You're going to slip up. You're going to relapse. You're going to have moments when things aren't really going your way, and that's okay. It's inevitable because this is how real and lasting progress and change happens. This is what it looks like. 2 steps forward, 1 step back. 2 steps forward, another step back. 2 steps forward, 1 step back. 2 steps forward, another step back. So 2 steps forward, 1 step back. That's a net gain of 1 step. That's how I want you to see it. That's a net gain of 1 step. Stop looking at all the steps you've taken backwards, okay? You're still gaining. You're still going somewhere. When you put all those steps and all those net gains together, that's how you create the lasting change that you're trying to make. That's how you get where you want to be. But that's when black and white thinking gets in the way, when you take that first step back. Because you think, oh, I've done it now. I've fallen off the wagon. Now I'm going to have to wait till next time when I have the opportunity again, or when I've built up the courage to attempt it again. That's when you find people that are comfortable just staying off the wagon. Okay, they think, what's the point? I fell off it. I don't want to get back on it again. I'm just going to fall off it. That's a classic example of black and white thinking when it comes to making a change. Black and white thinking equals a fixed mindset. In order to make the changes that you want to make, you're going to have to learn how to bounce back over and over again. Okay, every time you take that step back, you're going to have to learn how to get back up and keep going. Because black and white thinking is what keeps the fixed mindset in place. Remember back to those kids that, did that puzzle, that were praised for their intelligence. Remember that their unconscious mind was thinking, hang on a second. You're thinking, if I take this harder challenge, and if I fail, I'm not intelligent anymore. Which means that I'm either intelligent or I'm stupid. That's black and white thinking. Either or. White or black. All or nothing. Let's look at a perfectionist. Now, perfectionists are quite often crippled with anxiety. Okay, they struggle. They'll usually show you the things that they're doing well. Okay, they'll usually show you the things that they're doing perfect. But what you won't see more often than not is the crippling anxiety behind the scenes. Okay, behind that perfectionism. You don't really see that. You look at someone and you think, oh, everything that they do is perfect. You don't know, the anxiety and what they're going through in order to make those things that, perfect. The struggles they're going through. The things that they're feeling in order to drive them to be perfect. It's a burden. It's like a weight on their shoulders that we don't see. To a perfectionist, when they start to step out of their comfort zone, their inner parent is saying, hang on a second, hold up. If you're not going to do it perfectly, you might fail. And if you fail, you're either perfect or you're terrible. You're either good or bad. You're either black or white. So that black or white thinking, that all or nothing sort of thinking pops up at every sort of discussion, every moment, every conversation our inner parent, inner child has with each other. We've been conditioned to think black and white. Black and white thinking is at the very heart of what keeps us stuck. Now, black and white thinking keeps us building on our strengths, but it keeps us going around in circles when it comes to actually, trying to work on our weaknesses. And that's what keeps us stuck. Let's say, for example, that domestic cleaning is something that's on your inner child's list of cans, okay? So keeping the house clean is something that your inner child, has the confidence to do. You're walking past a piece of rubbish. You're on your way out to the bin anyway. So you pick up another, couple of pieces of rubbish and you get up and you go and put it in the bin. No problem. However, if being domestically clean is not something on your, your list of cans, if that's not something that you feel confident with, then what happens? You walk past a couple of pieces of rubbish on the ground and you think, geez, I should pick that up. Suddenly you become aware of all of the other rubbish around you. Even when you think, look, there's no point picking all of that up because then I have to clean everything. Once I start, I might as well, keep going until I finish. You've got that black and white thinking. You're thinking all or nothing. If I pick up these few pieces of rubbish, I might as well pick up the rest, and it keeps building, keeps adding. Before you know it, you're feeling quite overwhelmed. So then what you do is you think, oh, well, look, I'll just leave it, okay? I'll leave it until I've got the time that I can do it all. So eventually what happens is you leave it, and it just keeps piling up until you get to the moment where you think, okay, it's all piled up. It's time to do a big spring clean. You feel that sense of relief, okay? You feel like, yeah, look, everything's good now. You feel a sense of detoxification. Everything's okay. But after a few days, the mess starts to come back again. Okay, it starts piling up again. You think, oh my God, it just never stops. Because if that particular task is not on your, inner child's list of cans, that's not something that's been factored into your identity. And that's not something that you feel confident in doing. That black and white thinking is still getting in the way. It's all or nothing at all. So you see a little bit of rubbish and you think, oh, no, I can't do that, until there's more. I have to go all in, it's all or nothing. I don't want to just do a little bit here. I'll wait till it builds up. That all or nothing is the thing that makes us feel overwhelmed. It keeps us stuck, keeps us avoiding, doing those little things here and there. It keeps us, stuck from attempting the steps of picking up a little bit of rubbish at a time. Means that, we fill the bin and eventually it's clean. When we don't acknowledge all those steps, we're looking at all the rubbish, all piled up, and we're thinking, this is really overwhelming. That's a lot of rubbish. It's going to take a long time for me to clean all of that, to pick all of that up. Let's say, for example, your goal was to lose weight. If you want to be a yo-yo dieter, all you have to do is think like a yo-yo dieter. But if you take someone that's not a yo-yo dieter and someone that's not, perfectionistic when it comes to, looking at their diet, just a relatively ordinary, everyday, healthy eating person, if they overindulge just a little bit, eating their dessert, they don't think like, oh my God, damn it, I've blown it. I've blown it, I'm off the wagon now. Might as well wait until the next time, to change. Because when that thing is on that person's inner list of cans, when that part of them is confident in their identity, that black and white thinking isn't getting in the way anymore. They're just not processing things in black and white. They're processing things in all, the different shades of grey and, the different colours. They're processing things together. Now, I want you to think of this when you're thinking about breaking down and dissolving that black and white thinking that's getting in the way. What do you say to yourself within that self-communication process? What specifically do you see, and what do you tell yourself in order to break down and dissolve the black and white thinking? I think the answer is really going to surprise you because it's just two little words, okay? The answer is just two little words. But when you think about the impact that those two little words can do, it's enormous. It's the impact that those two little words, the answer to that question, can really have a significant difference moving forward, breaking down that black and white thinking. The common thread you'll find at the heart of our problems is some kind of black and white thinking, which is driven by the inner, more primitive parts of the brain. Black and white thinking manifests as beliefs centered around things being either all good or all bad. When it comes to our identity, black and white thinking manifests as beliefs around all or nothing at all, which keeps the fixed mindset in place. The mistake that people with a fixed mindset make is to try to change all at once by going on some kind of program. It's important, however, to realize that regression is a part of progression. So it's in knowing how to bounce back once we fall down that exercises the more advanced layers of the brain to mature our thinking into a growth mindset. The problem is that the world around us will inevitably reinforce beliefs around black and white thinking to stimulate emotional reactions to feel connected by choosing a side. Once you become aware of the all or nothing beliefs at the heart of the problems you're stuck on, the goal becomes knowing how to communicate with yourself in a way which breaks down the black and white thinking. In the following lessons, I'll explain how to do just that.